Hey guys.
Sup?
Welcome back. Still March.
Spring is springing.
Spring is spring. I think we skipped spring and went to summer today, honestly. It was hot when I got out of the car.
Yeah, you're in a long sleeves.
It's a little chilly in here with your fan.
Oh, that's fair.
If I get warm, I have short sleeves on underneath this. But
I get hot all the time.
So today's topic is about working versus not working, staying at home, going to school, all the...
Being a mama stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to The Village, the heartwarming and insightful podcast where two incredible moms come together to share their journey of navigating life, love, and the intricate art of blending families. Join us as we dive into the joys, challenges, and unique experiences that arise when two families become one. Hosted by Kayla.
That's me. And hosted by Megan.
That's me.
The Village offers a genuine and relatable space where we share our personal stories, triumphs, and lessons learned on the path of creating our harmonious and loving blended family. Whether you're a stepmom,
Bonus mom.
a birth mom, or simply someone interested in the beautiful chaos of family dynamics, this podcast is for you.
Each episode is a heartfelt conversation that covers a wide range of topics, from the everyday moments that bring laughter and tears to the more complex discussions surrounding co-parenting, step-sibling relationships, and building a strong foundation of love and trust. We openly explore the challenges we've faced, the strategies we've employed, and the unexpected joys that have come our way.
The Village isn't just about blending families. It's about the power of friendship, support, and sharing the journey with someone who understands. Tune in as we swap stories, offer practical advice, and invite experts to weigh in on subjects like effective communication, managing expectations, and nurturing connections in a modern blended family.
Whether you're seeking guidance, inspiration, or simply a sense of community, The Village is here to remind you that you're never alone on this incredible journey. Subscribe now to join our community of fellow moms and let's mom together through the ups and downs, creating a tapestry of love and unity one episode at a time.
I mean, after all, it takes a village.
Oh yeah, and by the way, her ex-husband is my current husband.
We were reading a statistic earlier and it said 54% of women, like, not complain, but like, what did it
Would
say?
say that they're like stretched thin, basically. Like working moms are tired.
Megan goes, only 54%?
Who are they asking?
Yeah.
It said the people who aren't tired from working.
Or the ones who
that
can
have
take the
time.
survey.
Yeah, the ones who have time to take the survey.
That's funny.
facts. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just going to talk about, and we're honestly going to ramble this episode, I think.
Yeah.
Of just kind of defining working moms, applauding stay-at-home moms, and just kind of how we help each other. Mm-hmm. We both are working moms.
Yeah, and I've seen both sides of it, being at home versus working.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that we'll just dive into all the conversations, you know?
Let's Google definition
There you go.
of a working mom.
I feel like you might get a weird
Working mom.
definition.
Let's see. A woman, man, or parent who has a job and takes care of his or her children.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll even talk to the fact of, like, I was the primary working parent when Dan and I were together. Mm-hmm. In that time, I was raised where, I think a lot of us were raised, actually, to where the husband should be the primary breadwinner. But I think it's important to know that as long as them bills are being paid, that's all that matters. And right now, Steve and I both work. Dan and Megan both work. So being a working parent is difficult.
It's tough. Dan and I have talked many times about how, like, the world was set up originally where one parent stayed home. And it makes complete sense because there's just no way to accomplish everything 100% when you're out of your house 10 to 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then you come home and you have baths and homework and
housework,
XYZ.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely very, very difficult. And I feel like the only way nowadays though that you could be a stay-at-home have one parent stay at home is if one parent makes just an absurd amount of money. If you live maybe more frugally in order to have that parent stay home. Or I know a lot of people work from home nowadays, so I'd be curious too, like, can you work from home and still be a stay-at-home parent? Like, how does that
I'm
How do
sure
you
that's a
juggle
tough
that?
balance.
Yeah.
I know when during COVID, I stayed at home and worked while the kids were out of school, and I think that was the most stressful time in my entire life because
I
I've
forgot
got
about that was terrible.
2 kids set up on different little Chromebook things while I'm trying to take a meeting, but the one has questions, the one can't get the other done to work. I got the baby over. I'm like,
It was terrible. I remember I was working as an assistant manager in my industry at that point, and my company, who I worked for at the time, was really, really great, and they actually allotted us extra PTO time to take off to handle those kind of things, like the kids not having school because school shut down completely, as you guys know, and we had 4 kids, and so between me and Dan and our family members, we had to juggle the kids 5 days a week, you know, and their schedules, and so 2 days a week I was able to stay at home, and what I did was I split the PTO time they gave me into 2 days a week, right? So I would handle the kids twice a week between grandparents and Dan. The other 3 days would be divided. And I remember one of the people I worked with at the time, like, kind of gave me a hard time about being at home instead of being at work. And I was like, do you know how much money I would give to be at work?
Right.
Not be at home homeschooling our children, because we had 3 different grades, 3 different, like, assignments going on, 3 different levels of learning. You know, and all the kids learn differently. Like, one, you know, Brayden maybe would be more on his own, doing his own thing. Landon and Emma wanted help. They want interaction. They want conversation. They want you to be a part of what they're doing. Lily, you have to sit there and be like, okay, do this one.
Come
do
on,
that
girlfriend.
One, do this one. Yeah. I'm like, at the end of the day, I wanted to pull my hair out.
Yep. Well, and I think it's funny, too, like, when I go in the office, some people are like, I don't like going in the office today. I love going in the office. We were reading another statistic before we started. I don't remember what. Hold on, let me see. 78% of working moms say that their jobs give them a sense of identity in addition to being a parent. And I think it's funny, on our last episode, we didn't have much hobbies.
No, we don't.
But
Working
I think,
is our hobby.
to me, I enjoy getting up. I don't enjoy getting up. I enjoy getting ready and putting on somewhat of a face, putting on some sort of clothes other than leggings and a t-shirt, which I love to wear. But it just makes me feel like a woman versus a mom or a wife. Like, it makes me...
I don't know if I appreciate any of those things except for just the routine it creates. Like,
That's fair.
My brain thrives on, like, a routine and a pattern, and I don't love getting up or getting ready, to be honest with you. But once I get out the door, I'm happy to be out the door. I'm happy to be dressed. I'm happy to go interact with humans for the most part. Yes. But I like the routine. Like, I like the 9 to 5. I like the coming home and you have your... So I do appreciate those things. And I think I'd have a hard time being at home full time now and who I am as a person because I feel like it would just be chaos to me.
I couldn't do it. I enjoy... There are times where I just sit in the mornings while my computer is open. And my day consists of the routine of when I get to the office, I make my coffee. We have a little, like, kitchenette thing. And that's how I read my emails. In silence. What I do, too. I don't talk to many people in the morning.
Enjoyable.
It's so nice.
It's so nice. I love, like, and I do the same thing. I walk in the door. I actually have a Keurig in my office, so I make a cup of coffee. I open my emails, and I just sip my coffee in the silence and, like, go through my emails, and it's really enjoyable. And if people interrupt that, I'm like, why are you talking to me?
I'm like, hold on 1 second.
It's not time to talk to me yet.
No. But I think it builds a sense of identity and independence. Like, you know, like, you're going to work, and Megan and I say all the time, we're only working so we can travel. We're not working to work.
Nope.
But it gives you that break from your kids, and let's be honest, we love and adore our children, but we also enjoy some alone time of being who we are. We're not a mom there. We're not a wife. We're not a friend. We're an employee, and we're there to
completely different identity.
Yeah,
that's for
100.
sure.
I was telling, I don't remember who I was talking to at work this week, but I was like, who you are at home is completely different than who you are at the office. And a lot of times that's okay.
Well,
I don't want them to see the mom me. I want them to see the professional me.
Well, and it's funny. I was telling Matthew the other day at work, because he's young, he doesn't have kids, he's not married. It's just completely different. And I told him I almost feel like an imposter sometimes when I get ready to go to work, because it's like you're putting on this new identity.
Who is she?
Like, at home, it's like bun, leggings, t-shirt, looking rough, and then you have to, like, become a different person. And you're like, who are you? Like, so it does feel like almost like imposter syndrome in a sense. But no, I mean, like we talked about earlier, I stayed at home with Brayden and Emma up until Jeremy and I split up. So from the time Braden was born, I worked a part-time job here and there just to like make some extra cash, get out of the house a little bit. But it was like a fun job. It was like I worked in retail. I worked at like Carter's. I worked at
get the
Oshkosh.
discounts.
Yeah,
That
I
was
worked
smart.
at Oshkosh. Yeah, it was.
Did you get a good discount?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice.
And the clearance stuff you got a discount on too. So like Braden and Emma were like dressed to the T's when we were little. Yeah. So like I worked at Oshkosh and then Carter's, and then I think it was Oshkosh that was related to this store called Janie and Jack. I don't know if it's like a fancy kid store. I'd sometimes get them some stuff from there, which was I would never buy
Full
without
price.
that discount. Yeah, because it was expensive kid stuff, and you know kids are dirty. So, so like I always worked somewhere that gave me like an advantage of being a mom and like having and I only worked nights for a couple hours, like
Just to get out
just
of
to get out of the house. But yeah, I just did that like 3 days a week, maybe part-time. But other than that, I was at home with the kids all day, so, and we never had anyone really watch the kids much. It was switch off between me and Jeremy. And that wasn't until after Emma was done nursing. So she was close to 2 probably when I worked part-time. But up until that point from the time, and Braden would have been 2.5. So about 4 years of time, 4.5 years of time, I didn't work at all. I was at home with the kids. So
I've worked my entire life.
it was interesting though, because my mom and my dad both worked growing up. I never saw a stay-at-home parent. Even my grandma, when I was growing up, worked. But it was situational for us. We moved to Virginia. We didn't have family there, and I didn't trust people with my kids. So financially, too, Jeremy was in the military, and it just didn't make sense to pay thousands of dollars for daycare, because at that point in my life, I wasn't capable of making enough to make it worth it.
Right.
So, so I stayed at home with them, and it was really enjoyable, but it's weird to think that I don't know if I could do that now. Like, I don't think I'm the same person I was
I was
then.
going to ask you, do you think you could be a stay-at-home mom now?
I don't know. I think that, like, if I had a baby, I would want to, only because I feel like I'd be, like, almost being unfair to that child, because I was at home with Braden and Emma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like almost, like, guilty in a sense. But I don't know. I think I'm a different person than I was then. I was so young. I didn't know anything other than being a mom, to be honest with you, because I had them so young. My identity was being a mom back then.
Yeah.
Now I feel like my identity is split. I'm like you said, I'm a mom, but I'm also an employee of my company who I find a lot of I get a lot of satisfaction out of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could or not. It's hard to say. I think our big kids, like if I stayed at home, our big kids, I would hurt them.
No, yeah. I know.
I would go outside. You can't come in until it's dark.
I don't think I could be a stay-at-home mom.
No.
No.
I think I would lose a lot of okay, I struggle now with patience, and I think that the little bit of patience I do have would be gone because I'd be around them so much more. And I know that sounds so mean, but the time I have with them, I want to use it like beneficially and like positively and spend time with them and love on them. And I think if I were home with them all the time, I'd probably have to have hobbies. I think that would go back into, I'd have to have a hobby. I'd have to get out of the house somehow.
Yeah. But a free hobby, because
a free hobby.
Now you're only down to one income.
I'm going to be gardening and you're not going to be allowed to come outside because I'm planting plants right now.
Yeah, I don't think I could be a stay-at-home mom either. I applaud stay-at-home moms because, gosh.
It's a full-time job.
They work harder than we do.
I stayed home the other day because Lily was sick. Shocker. And I worked from home, and so I was on my computer, but I had to take a break and take Lily to the doctor, and then I had to take a break and run and get her antibiotics, and it was Wednesday, so I got to take all the kids to youth group, so I don't usually get to do that, and I was like, I felt like I was in my car all day.
Yeah. Like,
I worked in the morning, I took Lily to the doctor, I took them to youth group, 2 different places, I picked up Lily's prescription, I went to Walmart, and I'm like, I would have been more relaxed at my job today. Yeah. My actual job that pays me.
Yep. There are times where if I'm working from home because of those scenarios and someone's sick and I don't have a babysitter and
hectic.
blah, 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 blah. I can't wait to go to work the next
literally
day.
The next day I was like, I'm going to the office.
You walk in with a nice coffee, hey y'all, and they're like, hey. You're like, oh.
Oh, you're not happy to be here?
Sorry.
Okay.
I've been home with the sick child.
I'm happy to
for 3
see
days.
you guys.
What do we want to talk about?
Literally. What's the tea that I missed yesterday?
Pretty much.
It's really weird too how it changes. Like when the kids were little, I couldn't imagine being at work. Like I would have been so anxious being away from them, and like they're, you know, I feel like those stages in their childhood, like when they're babies, are so like formative. Like now it's like bye.
Yeah. Do you ever feel guilty for leaving them?
Like after I started working again? Yeah. No. Luckily, I was in a situation where my mom and my grandma had them. Okay. So when I did go back to work, they were with my mom and my grandma. And I think it honestly was a healing, I think, for me and my mom, because my mom worked my whole childhood. Okay. And I remember being elementary age, 3rd, 4th grade maybe, and my mom was a nurse and she worked nights. And so this was when she was a labor and delivery nurse. A nurse. And I remember going to, and I don't have a lot of memories of my childhood, which is weird, but I do remember being in elementary school and I was on the playground talking to a kid, and I remember telling them, like, I hadn't seen my mom in a few days, and they're like, what do you mean? And then I was like, it was because she worked nights, so when I was getting up to go to school, she was going to sleep. Yep. And then, you know, vice versa. So she worked a lot. She had a really great job and she was good at her job, but there were times where I wouldn't see her for a few days because of her schedule. And then my mom had a hard time adjusting to once she wasn't on shift to like being a normal human, because she had been working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And so the day she was off, she was like a zombie. Yeah. You know what I mean? So she had a hard time adjusting, I think, in that. But no, when I moved back home, my mom and my grandma took Braden and Emma to school and picked them up. And luckily I was there to like do projects with them, and I could, you know, pack their lunches, and I would take off for field trips. And so I had to find like a happy medium to be involved. But knowing that they were with my mom and my grandma who raised me, I felt no guilt. And I think for the first time in a long time, I got to figure out who I was. Yeah. So that was like a new road. Yeah.
I think it's important too. I don't feel guilty for leaving them. I feel guilty for not going on the field trips, not being at the doctor's appointments, things of that sort. So I think it's really important, and I've made
a point to do it now.
Correct. Yeah. When I was younger, I was always fearful, like, well, they're going to fire me because I'm a mom, or like, you know, whatever.
And I think things have changed a lot, because I remember feeling that when I was younger too, and the kids were younger, and being like, oh, I don't want to ask for too many things. And now I'm like, I try to find a happy balance. Like, I don't ask off for everything. And I try to be like, hey, Kayla, do you want to do this? Or, hey, Dan, do you want to do this? And if not, then I'll do it. Yeah. So, like, we kind of have a good balance between missing and not missing. Like, when Lily was sick, like, I think you had taken off and Dan had taken off, and I'm like, okay, it's my turn. Yeah. So I literally texted my boss and was like, hey, Lawrence, it's my turn. Yeah. Like, I had to stay home.
We've done the full rotation.
Exactly. I was like, Dan took off Monday, Tuesday. It's my turn today. Like, this is just how it is.
Well, and I think as working moms, anybody out there listening, it's really important. And I know, like, I live by this statement. Like, God forbid something happened to me. My job's going to be posted tomorrow.
100%.
Well, it's going to have to go through the board at work, and then it'll be posted.
But in about 48 to 72 hours.
Correct. My kids, I can't.
No.
You know, and I think...
And you don't get to redo those things. No. Like, I feel like our office jobs, there are things that are emergencies that come up, but it will be there tomorrow, whereas,
1,000%.
like, you know, Sally can wait until Wednesday for me to help her with her ledger issue. Yep. Their field trip isn't going to be waiting for me.
No. Or, like, you can do it at night. Or, like, hey, 100%. I've got to go do this. I had a provider blowing up my phone one day, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm homesick with my kid. As soon as I get her situated, I will call you right back. Like, and I appreciate the people in today's world, like you said, who are like, oh my gosh, no worries. Like, do what you gotta do. Give me a call back later. Like,
I do think society is like changed in that aspect, because I think that back then you were judged for like taking a sick day or taking a mental health day or, you know, those kind of things. And I think now it's like almost like, you had PTO, use them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
you worked hard for those hours.
Exactly. Like, you're having a bad day and you can't give me 100% today? Great, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think we're still adjusting, because we did work in the society before, and then now you see all those memes too about millennial managers. It's really funny.
Well, and I think it's important too. I was talking with somebody at work the other day. When you're interviewing for those roles, as a mom, don't specifically...
Like, be transparent in a way?
Be transparent, but not too transparent. Because there are still some people with unconscious bias that, you know, as much as they probably don't like to admit it, won't hire you because of your extra needs as a parent. So whenever you are trying to be transparent, word it in a way that it doesn't seem like For instance, well, I have to take my kids to school, so I won't be in at 8, but I can be in about 8:15. Versus wording it like that, you could probably word it of, well, I know the hours are 8 to 5. Is it okay if I come in at 8:30? Versus spilling out all that tea, you can just be like, can I come in at 8:30? They'd probably be like, oh, sure, that's fine. Just work till whatever. So it's important to find that fine line as a working mom of being transparent as a parent, but also still with the old school folks of making sure that you word it in the correct way.
Well, I don't think we've talked about this, but I'd be curious to see your point of view. So you work different hours than I work, right? Like you're like what, 7:30, 4:30ish?
Well,
8 to 5?
Whenever I really want to. But yes, 8 to 5.
Ish, right? Ish. So technically I'm 9 to 6 or 9 to 5. It just depends, kind of the same thing. I'm salary, so it's just based on my hours that I'm there, but I'm just not a morning person, so I like giving myself time in the morning, and I take the kids to school and I pack their lunches and I drop them off, and I'm like, I'm gonna go home and get a cup of coffee. So I just like mosey in when I'm ready, kind of thing, but I usually do stay till 6:30 or 7 because I'm like, oh, let me get my job finished. I want to make sure I'm a good employee. Like I have flexibility, but I'm gonna be dedicated to my job and I want to do a good job. But the flip side of that is by the time I get home, I am wiped. Yeah. I don't have anything else to give. Yep. You know what I mean? I'll cook dinner. I'll tuck you guys in. I'll make sure that you're, getting your baths and stuff like that. But when it comes to like chores at the house or things like that, like I just don't wanna. Do you feel like because you get home earlier, you have more you have more to give? Maybe not on all days.
Not every day. No, not every day. And I think even then, because my hours, I'm very blessed to have a flexible work schedule. However, my work comes home with me at times. Yeah. So I don't feel bad leaving.
See, that's good too. Because you could leave at 3
or
and
4 or what have you. And I made it very apparent. The role I'm in now, it was a promotion of some sort. And so when I was asked to take this role on, he knew I had parents. He knew I was a parent, and I blatantly said, "Listen,
is it okay if I have these days?"
Correct. And he was like, "As long as you get your work done and my phone's not blowing up,
I don't care."
I don't. He always says, "It's not that I don't care; it's just irrelevant." So it's irrelevant. So yes and no, because I've also learned, and I'm still fighting this battle. My house is a home. I have 3 children. I have a husband. Like I just cleaned it before y'all came over, and it's only halfway cleaned. Like I only did that so we could set our
It's an ongoing thing. Yeah.
So whereas yes, I think my house should be spotless at all times. If we panned over to the left, there's dinosaurs and monster trucks over
all
here.
All over the place, yeah.
So it's not like, it's not...
You clean this section, the viewable section.
Yes, you're welcome. But it's not important to me to clean the house or to make sure things are done to a T. There'll be times where if I don't have it all, Lily, you make peanut butter sandwiches. Landon, grab me those 2 bags. I'm gonna cut these carrots up real quick. We're making lunches all together.
How and this is getting a little deeper than I intended, but I'm curious. When you were growing up, like your mom working and your dad working, like did one of them have more home responsibility than the other?
My mom did everything.
Do you feel like the house was always tidy?
The house was tidy, not clean.
Clean. Okay.
There's a difference.
Good. Okay. Good to know.
But yeah, so my mom did majority of everything. My dad left before my mom left, and came home later than my mom and I came home. So.
And it's nice your mom had like a school schedule almost because she, she was home, like you could stay with her until she was done with work.
We were even then though, I would go to her office and we'd
like
still
have. Like Emily did.
yes, and still be there till 5. Yeah, and then come home.
But you could do your homework in her office. Yeah. Okay. It's interesting how many there's just so many dynamics out there.
It is, and I think it's important though to be a hard worker as a working mom, but keep your kids pretty much in the forefront. My view of it is keep your kids in the forefront of your thought process. Yeah. And find a job that can somewhat balance. I'm not saying that
all of them are
going to be like that, and maybe that's a sign to maybe find something else because your kid. I thought the other day, and I'm going to say this without getting emotional. I have technically 3 years left with Landon.
What do you mean? Like when he starts driving?
Years-wise, I have 6, but because we have 50-50, I only have 3 years left.
Yeah. That's
So
fair.
to me, it's more important to be there for my kids and take them to school and have those conversations and pray over them in the mornings on Monday and play DJ and we all pick a song.
But I think that like, and it's one of those things where we got really lucky with our jobs. And like, like even Dan, the whole time we've been together, he's had a job that he doesn't make as much money as I do, but he is very present. Yes. He's always been off for the doctor's appointments. He's always been off for the field trips. He's always picked them up from school. He's always made dinner before I got home and did the laundry and did the dishes. Like, and this is one of those things where I feel like it's playing to people's strengths. Does Dan play the normal male role in a relationship that society dictated? No, but I wouldn't be good at that.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, I would not be good at it. Like, I would be annoyed with our children. I'd be annoyed at the dinner. I'd be annoyed at, like, everything in general. No one would like me.
Yeah.
Like, but Dan likes it. He likes being present. He likes doing all those things. Like, it sounds terrible.
Yeah. But I think it's important, too, to, how do I word this? I used to be selfish in the fact of I had to do it all. I had to take a step back, and I've probably only done this in the last few years, and realize at least my kids have somebody to go on those field trips, do the doctor's appointments, etc. I thought I had to be superwoman and do it all.
Everything, yeah.
If you have a parent, like if your mom or your spouse or a grandparent or a family friend can go fill in your place.
100%.
I think it's better than having the grumpy mom. Yeah. Not saying you are a grumpy mom, but just the fact of like if you had to do all those things, you'd be grumpy.
100%. Yeah, because you feel spread thin, and then when you are present, you're not really present.
Correct. So I think it's another little tidbit is just to ensure that hopefully you have somebody in your village that can stand in when you can't, and even have those conversations that you went on a field trip and you couldn't go. How was your field trip today? You know, blah 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 blah. When they get older, they'll realize my mom kept a roof over my head. She did her best. Yeah. I'm so lucky that I have fill in the blank here who was able to help my mom out.
Yeah, for sure. You know? Yeah. Well, and I think that like I've always been thankful, even before Dan and I were married, like when we were just dating, when we were living together, like he stepped in for me with Emma and Braden sometimes because my job back then wasn't as flexible. Right. Like I was still, there's like a phrase I want to use, but like I was still making my way in this industry, right? Like I was still making a name for myself, and I hadn't like, what do they call it when you get to like I've gotten to the place where I like put in my time, right? Like I worked my weekends, I worked late at night. Like I've got myself kind of, yeah. Like I've gotten to a point in my career where I have some flexibility, where I can take off if I need to.
Whatever,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So back then I wasn't in that place yet. I was a leasing agent. I worked Saturdays. Yeah. I worked 9 to 6 or later than that because I had to make a name for myself. Yeah. So I couldn't always take off for field trips, but Dan could. Yeah. So he would take Emma to the zoo if I couldn't. You know what I mean? So like those things were really important. So, having people like you said that can step into those roles, like, and if I can't or you can't or Dan can't, hey grandma, can you? Yep. Hey so and so, can you? So
well, and it's taking a step back. I remember when Lily last year or I think it was last year, she was like, "You always go on my field trips. Can Daddy go?" And I was like, yes, that's fine.
Lil straight dissed me the other day for Dan.
See?
She told me that he makes better Chef Boyardee than I do. And I was like, you put it in a pot on the stove. And I for real got in my feels about it. Yeah. And I had to leave. I was like, I bought the Chef Boyardee.
Right. You're welcome. I provided your Chef Boyardee.
Well, and Dan walks in the door and he's like, what, Lily? And she's like, well, I would like you to make it because you make it better. And I'm like, there's literally no ingredients. But that's fine.
You put it in the microwave, you put a napkin over it for a minute and 50.
I was like, all right, well, next time I'm the only one home, guess who's not getting any Chef Boyardee?
You
ain't getting no spaghetti and meatballs for you, okay?
Ugh, kids, too funny. So yeah, I think that in a nutshell is kind of working moms. I want to though take a second, and I'll let Megan talk more about this. Props to stay-at-home moms. Yeah. And all that you guys have to do to make the magic happen.
It's interesting, actually. I feel like Dan and I have talked about this because when I was a stay-at-home mom, my job was to be a parent first, but then it was also like everything at home, right?
Yeah,
like
you have to do everything.
Laundry, organizing, the animals, like all of those things. That was my job. And growing up without a stay-at-home mom, I think I took those things very seriously, and it almost like created some unhealthy like perspectives on it, maybe. Like, almost like as a mom or as a woman, like, if I don't do those things, I'm not as good. Right? Mm-hmm. So, and it's carried over. Like, even now I have issues with it because I'm not, like, the typical mom. Like, I don't love being home. Like, you know what I mean? I like going to work for the most part. I like that it gives me my own identity. But I really did like it back then, and I'm glad that I had that time with them. But like we talked about earlier, like, being at home and knowing what was, like, I think there are certain days that I'm like, going to work is a little easier.
Yeah.
And the people who stay home now, I 100% applaud you guys. I think it definitely has its benefits. Like, Dan and I have talked about it. Like, if there was a way that we could financially support our family with him maybe being home or me being home even, we would try it. Because I think that, like, there are things that we feel like lack because we're not there all the time. You know, like the conversations with the kids maybe we missed out on, or, you know, organizing the house, or creating a garden, or, you know, like,
Are you
little
build
things.
a garden? You've been talking about a garden a lot.
I kill a lot of plants. Like, I don't know if I could.
Start small.
Dan would like to grow our own food, but that just seems like very stressful to me.
Start small.
I was going to say, we can maybe grow some cucumbers.
I did cucumbers one time, and then the bugs ate
They got them. See, and that's another thing in Florida that I'm like, there's too many pests and animals, and it's a whole thing. But
that was a squirrel moment. Sorry, guys.
yeah, I don't know. Like, back then, I was 20 years old when I had Braden, and I got to be a stay-at-home mom, and I think that I went from being in my parents' house to being in Jeremy's house, and then being a mom very quickly, and it's the only thing I knew how to do.
Yeah.
But I loved having Braden, and I think that we've talked about this before. I don't think I ever intended to be a mom. It was never like, I was never the girl growing up like, I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna have a white picket fence and I'm gonna have kids. Like, that was never my goal. I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor and a lawyer, and I'm gonna travel the world, and I'm gonna save all the orphans. Like, I had all these huge crazy aspirations that I don't think being a mom ever was in my checklist.
That's fair.
Apparently God had other plans for me because I became a mom very young, and I was very stupid. But I'm really glad it happened, because I don't think I would be who I am without being their mom at that point in my life. And then after I had Braden, I was like, I have to have another baby because this is great. I love having a baby. And yeah, and then we had Emma, and I can't imagine not being a mom now. Yeah. Like, I don't know. And another thing, though, we're going to mention women who don't want to have kids, because I think that if you know that and you recognize that about yourself, I love that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think everybody's cut out to be a parent. And I think society tells women you have to be. And if you know you don't.
Like, enjoy.
Like,
it. I don't remember what they call them, but there's couples that have decided that they don't want babies. Yeah. And I think that's great because, again, to your point, society makes you think you have to have kids. Yeah. Don't, bluntly put, don't bring kids into this world. Yeah. If you don't want crazy freaking world. Yeah. If you don't want them.
I will say, I think people who don't want them and then have them, your life changes. Yeah. Like, you become a different person. But yeah, I think more power to you if you take the necessary precautions to not have them because you don't want them, and because you want to travel or you want to use your money differently. Like, I think that's awesome.
More power to you.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome. So, I don't know. I think to sum it up, I'm glad that I got to see both sides. Yeah. I think that things worked out exactly the way they were supposed to. I was a stay-at-home mom when I could be, and now the kids, I think we formed a really great bond. Yeah. Being home with them all those years, I got to parent them exactly the way I wanted to parent them. I got to do everything for them that, you know, my parents didn't get to do because they were both working. Yeah. So I got to, like, I remember Braden, and this is something so small, but I remember every night before bed I would clean Braden's room, and it was just something that I had, like, unintentionally created, right? Like, the chaos made me chaotic. So like, cleaning it made me feel calm. Yeah. And I remember Braden being little, and he'd be like, "Thank you so much for cleaning my room." Like, it made him so happy. Yeah. And so, like, little things like that, and now he's a super weird clean kid.
Lily started off super clean and weird, and now her room is always a wreck.
She's just what do we call her? She's like a butterfly.
She is.
It's all over the place. Yeah. But I think that it created really great bonds, especially when me and Jeremy split up and it was just me and the kids, and, like, all that foundation, you know, created who they are. But I'm glad I got to do both. Yeah. Yeah.
So shout out to all the stay-at-home moms out there, whether you get the opportunity or
create
it. That's admirable, because I could not do it. So.
And I think there's a reason, like, But that's the thing though. I don't feel like, and like Dan, when y'all were together and the kids were younger, Dan kind of filled in those areas, right? And then you worked, and now like I feel like you're at your prime with them. Like you love this stage of the kids. Like,
oh, I do.
You know?
Well, I'm like your mom in the other episode.
Yeah.
I don't do infants and whiny things that can't tell me what they
Tell
want.
me what's your problem.
So, like, Camden's 3. Love this stage. And so from here on out, your girl's solid.
Yeah.
But,
Before
like,
that.
I can't communicate with you. What is wrong? Stop screaming at me.
Like you get frustrated
Oh,
with it.
1000%.
See, I love it. I love when they can't talk to me.
No.
But
I want to know what's wrong. Why are you crying? Stop
I
yelling
love the
at
baby.
me.
Like right now, like if I could have another baby, but then like somebody else takes it after they talk to me, that'd be fine. Then just give it back to me when they're like 7, 8.
Yeah.
You know? But I love baby stages. Honestly, I love them all the way up till they start school, and then they're annoying.
No, I'll take them from there.
See? Isn't that
Okay.
so funny? I
Yep.
love infants, and I think it's like, maybe it's something in my psyche that likes to be needed or something. I'm not sure.
Well,
but-
you have the babies.
There you go.
get them to that point.
And I'll give them to you?
Because I can't anymore. So just transfer them over to me, and I
There you
got
go.
them for the rest of
Okay,
life.
that
There we go.
works for
We'll
me.
work that way.
We'll have like a whole baby army.
There you go. So yeah.
We'll get
Squirrel
real
moment.
weird.
It
and
would.
People will be like,
Actually, this is her kid, but she didn't want it after 7, so I took him.
could you imagine? People like,
So this is our baby.
they'd be like, what is happening?
The whole dynamic there. That'd be funny.
Really complex.
But yeah, I think we just kind of wanted to talk about applauding moms in general, whether you're a working mom or a stay-at-home mom, a part-time mom, a full-time mom,
Yeah.
all of the above mom,
Still in school, mom.
still in school mom, working and still in school mom.
I do want to touch on, because I feel like we talked about the different kinds of moms, right, and what we've experienced, but like how do we juggle currently where we are? And then the
Yes.
last point, like how we help each other.
Yeah. So, and we can, briefly talk about it, but I think it's important that we help each other out. There are times where it's crazy. We have such a big village, but sometimes the cards don't align.
No.
And I'm like, Megan, can you please take Lily to the, or can you pick up Brayden and Emma? Cause
100%.
like, it's crazy how if you are a co-parent and you have the extra parent, it's funny. Made me think of Emma's extra mom.
Extra mom? You're the extra mom?
The extra mom. But,
Like, so for example, like Kayla has no obviously biological tie to Brayden and Emma, right? She's not their stepmom. She's not their bonus mom. She's not their any kind of like mom in that way, but she is around, and I feel like it's almost like having like an aunt in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So like if Emma doesn't want to talk to me about something that's weird about girls or whatever, like talk to Kayla. Kayla's a different kind of mom than I am. Like Kayla loves doing like the TikToks with the girls and crafting, and like she's just, we're different, but we're the same in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
So like Emma wanted to do a TikTok not long ago, and I was like, I'm not your TikTok mom. Kayla's your TikTok mom.
give me a call. We'll figure it out.
So, it's helpful. Like, if you have Landon and Lily, it's your week to have them, but I happen to have Brayden and Emma on not my week, and I need you to help me. I'm like, Kayla, I'm desperate. I need some help here. Like, helping each other out even when it's not necessary.
Yes, but like willing to
expected.
be that extra hand. Like, I don't know, I'm just thinking, Landon and Emma are in the same grade. Like, if Megan can't make the field trip,
100%.
I did this. I go and stand in for both
Both of
kids.
them. Yep.
Lo and behold, thank God I did. Emma freaked out with a nosebleed. I'm like, I got her. She's
Yeah.
mine. That one's mine. I'll take her. Come on, Em.
The other mom was like, you're touching her blood like that? And Kayla's like, long story.
She's mine. Like, just
don't worry about it. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where just to be there for that other parent, whether your village is small, whether your village is big, offer and say, hey, like, I'm off this week. I'm taking a self-care week, but if you need help with the kids, let me know.
Yeah.
Or like,
I'm working from home today and the kids are on spring break. Do you want me to just come get them halfway through the day so they're not home alone all day? Or like, those kind of things are super helpful.
yeah. And I think too, like, just the other day, she had to take Lil to the doctor and like covered the copay, but then was like, hey, I'm like, yeah, let me figure that. Like, don't like, I think it's great. Like, if Dan takes the kids or whatever, like, I have them on my health insurance. So they're like, hey, copay's paid for. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Like, just those little tidbits of help helps.
Yeah. And I think it's just like being, I don't know, doing for you what I would want done for me kind of thing. Looking at it in
Treat
that kind of
others
aspect.
like you want to be treated.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to grade school. But and then I guess like juggling it. I don't know if we do. I'll be honest with you. I feel like some weeks I'm killing it, and some weeks I feel like it's killing me.
Fact.
So like this past week was rough. Like
I'm dead.
Yeah, Lily was sick, and then Steven got sick, and like we had 2 things going on at 2 different
And Camden.
houses, and then
And
Camden
Landon.
got sick, and Landon. They're all coughing, and Kayla and I are wanting to kill them.
I'm really loaded up on vitamin C, guys.
I've been taking those elderberry gummies
Yep.
every day. I'm like shoveling them in my mouth. Yeah. Those are really good, by the way.
They're delicious.
They taste good, yeah.
Not the syrup, though. but the
No,
gummies
these are
good.
the gummies, yeah. But it's some weeks we win and some weeks we
I
don't
gotta say,
win.
I think juggling is exactly what it is. Juggling. Some weeks we are on the rooftops, and other times we are in the valley, and
Yeah.
we're like, "Hey, how you doing?
You struggling
I'm
over there?
surviving."
And I think sometimes it helps to know that the other person goes through the same stuff. Like, and I think at one point as women, it's like a competition, or you feel like it's a competition, and there's this weird competition created, but knowing that like you struggle with the same things I struggle with,
Yeah.
and like sometimes our kids are really annoying, and you're
Facts.
like, they are annoying. You're like, thank you, I'm not crazy.
Yes. Like, no, trust me, I get it.
So-
That one's my bad. Like,
I created it. My bad.
Yep.
But like just knowing like the honesty that's there, and that, you know, like you said, some weeks we're going to kill it and crush it and just, you know, smash it, and some weeks we're going to be crying.
Yeah.
In a ball.
But I think it's important too to check on that other person. Like
100%. Yeah.
I know we've both had a struggling week with everybody's illnesses, and it's nice when like Megan will be like, "Hey, how are you doing today?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Ugh, okay, we woke up, we survived. Like
We're breathing.
we're doing it.
Yeah, we're
And-
breathing.
And other days, it's
We had
like-
coffee.
Yeah. So it's just important to help each other out where you can, and figuring out that juggling
Yeah.
sense of skill that.
I think sometimes just knowing the other person has your back is super helpful. Like,
Oh,
even if I don't
1,000%.
need you to do anything, knowing you're willing, if I'm absolutely crumbling in that moment, is helpful.
Well,
You
I
know what
think
mean?
too, to the aspect of like parenting, that's where
Yeah.
my brain went. Like, hey, Landon can't have his PlayStation until Thursday.
Yeah.
She's like, I got you.
Cool.
Sorry, bud.
No
Like,
PlayStation.
Yep.
We're gonna be struggling
Or
together.
Lily, she's got an expander in her mouth. I'm like, Lily needs 2 more
Yeah.
turns. I did not make it to all 5 today. And they're
Yeah.
like, got you. Like,
And it goes both ways. Like, we both forget things,
Yeah.
and I think, like,
and
just
not,
being courteous of each other. Like, we have bad weeks. Like, okay, I forgot. Like, we have them Sunday to Sunday kind of, and you need 5 turns Sunday to Sunday. I forgot till Wednesday she needed some turns, so you got a couple more to go.
and not being upset that
Yeah.
you forgot those turns. Like, I think
100%.
a lot of times it's like people will think like, you had 7 whole days. You couldn't get 5 in. Like, okay, no problem. We'll make it up this week.
Exactly.
Or, you know, it's
Yeah.
just help each other out.
100%. And just, I think it helps that we're friends, and so not everybody's
That's
gonna
true.
be like that. But just being courteous that, like, everybody has bad weeks. Everybody
Everybody makes
mistakes.
mistakes. Everybody has mistakes.
David knew it was coming. He knew. I couldn't help it.
Yes.
It came out.
Everyone broke out in song in this room, and I'm so excited. It wasn't just me.
It had to happen, okay?
I'm gonna be singing that all day
Just
now.
just be at the end of the day, like, helping each other on our bad weeks and on our good weeks, and you know, there's 4 of them, there's 5 of them, and there's 5 of them, and there's only 4 of us or
Yep.
2 of us in certain situations.
One of
and
us at times.
One of us at times, and we're crying. It's a whole
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, just having each other's backs, and you know, we cry together and we celebrate together at the end of the day.
Small victories count.
Yes. We were like going to shower because I have to wash away this crappy day.
I did that the other day.
Yeah. And like I knew exactly what that meant, because it's
Yeah.
like I'm starting clean. I'm
Yes.
washing it off, and
Yep.
I'm getting out, and we're going to have a new evening.
Yes.
Did we? Probably not, but we tried.
We did.
We put in a valiant effort.
Yeah. I was clean at least. That's
Yeah.
what mattered.
Well, and I think you mentioned this earlier, like our village that we have, it doesn't always, like, people have responsibilities, and so like leaning on each other at the end of the day is super helpful, because there's 25,000 people we could ask, but sometimes it's like, hey, you know what I'm going through. I need to vent, or I need you to help me out here.
Yeah.
So, which is nice.
So I think moral of our thing is shout out moms in general.
Yeah.
And make sure to help the other parent out.
And all the good moms and dads out there that are helping each other out.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm seeing a lot more, like, which I love to see. I'm seeing a lot more like co-parent TikToks and co-parent like Instagram posts, and like, you know, the weird dynamics of like moms and dads co-parenting who aren't together anymore, and like they're friends and they make jokes about it, and it's
Yeah.
it's nice to see.
So keep up the great work, guys.
Yeah, killing it.
This is our last shout out to our friend Brooke.
Yeah, for now.
It makes me sad. So, we just want to thank Brooke for being our sponsor for these last 6 episodes.
Yeah.
We've dropped her name every week, and we really hope that you guys check her out in the future. So we just want to kind of implement that thought in your brain that if you are looking for a home, have questions for a home in the Jacksonville, Clay County, Baker County, whatever surrounding Jacksonville area that they may be, we really, really want you to reach out to Brooke Roden Realtor. She's available on Instagram and Facebook. She is with Remy Realty, and she brings her integrity before her commission. So thank you, Brooke. Thank you for anybody who's listening that reached out to Brooke. And I think that's the episode.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're hungry now. I want to go
see
eat.
you guys in April.
Yeah. Bye.
Lunchtime.